heroes. Wow, that was new music from StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard. That was kind of vibing out. Welcome, heroes. Welcome to Zeros on Heroes. Collateral Benefit. My name is Mike Mercadal. With me, as always, is
Will Watkins.
Will Watkins. Hi, welcome to the show. If you've not watched this show before or watched it on the recorded devices, we're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and we are on all the social media platforms at Zeros on Heroes, and you can find us at our individual things at Mike Mercadal, at William A. Watkins. We comedians who care about fitness, and that's kind of how this all started. We were trying to improve our lives, and we realized, hey man, there's a lot of weird preconceived notions about gym culture and fitness, and also by taking care of our bodies, we accidentally stumbled into mental health improvements and accidentally had little communities build up around us. There's so much collateral damage in the world. Let's focus on the collateral benefit of taking
Yeah.
care of our bodies.
Yeah. Did you know
Will, am I missing anything?
if you don't drink a $5 shot in a beer special multiple times every night, and instead you go to the gym, uh,
Mm.
you feel better.
You feel. I can't tell you how the revelation of oh man, I was hangover more often than I thought. That was a big revelation. Also, eating when I lived in New York and I would eat halal at 4 o'clock in the morning from the cart. Not always the best idea as I'm waking up in the morning with reflux. You gotta, if you act, my mind would be calmer when I wasn't, dealing with burning digestive issues.
Yeah.
All of this to say, there's ways in which we can benefit our lives, and we can take care of our mental and physical health. And ironically enough, it helped us bond even more because during COVID, when you were really focused on your fitness. Again, we are not professionals. I'm a medical professional in the loosest sense. I have some healthcare practice knowledge, paramedic for a long time, worked in the emergency room and ICU, and have seen a lot of things. I'm not a doctor. Nothing of what we say here is medical advice. Please, disclaimer, check with a Will. You've been focused on your fitness and training and all that stuff and bodybuilding in the last few years. But again, this is all just people talking.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. If you
For
do feel
entertainment purposes only. Do not take this
oh
as
right,
medical advice.
yeah,
For
uh,
entertainment purposes.
yeah. But that's also kind of how all of this kind of spreads, right? Not everybody starts with scientific journals when they're on their fitness journey. They show up at the gym, and usually some big muscly dude either takes you under their wing and guides hey, or it's really kind of caustic, and that's the viewpoint we're trying to change. I've had
Yeah.
more gentle giant wing scoopers than I've had at least not more modern fitness journey. In the past, I think it was viewed a lot more toxic that people had to do those things, and it drew kind of this macho toxic masculinity into the gym, and everyone in that context was very in that lens. But
Yeah.
I think it's changed so much that I think it benefits the world for people to share their positive gym experiences, and not just gym but fitness in general, because what's a gym these days? CrossFit, fitness classes, boot camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And we focus on the triangle, what is it, the triangle offense, the basketball, the Phil Jackson. Anyway, our triangle is we focus on our body, and that includes fitness, diet, flexibility, just in general overall physical health.
Yeah.
Then we have the mind, which is the mental health. And if you have those two things usually incorporated somewhere in there, it makes you it encourages you to have community around you. So it improves your relationship, starting from the relationship with your immediate partner, anyone in your home, to friends, coworkers, anyone in your social circle, to how you view the world.
Yeah.
That's kind of the focus. Those three aspects that builds a foundation, I think, if you in terms of how we've discovered that we think in this way.
Yeah, I think the mind and community is very much to quote RuPaul, how are you going to love somebody else if you can't love yourself? Uh,
100%.
so
Yeah.
take care of the emergency landing of the airplane. Put the mask on yourself before you help others. That kind of
That
thing.
is a good way to put it. Yeah, yeah. The idea of in the healthcare, there's so many times you saw the caregiver of somebody who's sick run themselves ragged, and it's like, hey,
Oh,
do you think you could provide better care for your family member if you're not taking care of yourself? Imagine if you took care of yourself a little bit better, you can come back to this refreshed physically, mentally. Like go home, take a shower, go home, feed yourself a good meal, go home, like come step away, come back. That's the whole. You want to put yourself in the best position to help others, which I think in the old show, in the Zeros on Heroes show, which exists on the social media platforms and on the
hmm.
podcast platforms, if you go search it up on anything, we that was our old focus of the focus of the old show, which I always enjoyed. We wanted people to talk about what they thought was heroic. A lot of that kind of comes up. The helping other people around you is genuinely like a source of like the definition of heroism is
Yeah,
the opposite of selfishness is
yeah.
is kind of how it boils down. With that said, thank you for watching us. If you want to consider subscribing, we do this every week as we can. It's kind of therapy for us. We would be doing this if nobody's watching because we enjoy doing it, and I love spending time with my friend. Well, I love my friend,
Yeah, man.
and we're on opposite coasts now, so
We're a couple of bye
this is
buddies.
we're bi bud.
We're
We're
bye,
just bi
bud.
buds.
Bye,
We're
bud.
bi buds. But I do
Couple of bye
appreciate doing
guys.
this with you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I think we should talk about that more. People, that's a mental health thing that people don't talk. If you appreciate somebody, tell them out loud. That's the whole practice of giving someone their flowers. Have you heard about giving the flowers? Most
That
men only
makes.
receive flowers
Oh yeah,
when they
yeah,
die.
yeah,
Most men in their life, no one ever gives men flowers. It's like that. The only time men receive flowers is at their funeral.
yeah.
So it's all about giving people their flowers when they're alive. So it's like, hey man, I enjoy spending time with you and talking to you and having a
Hey, me too,
conversation with you.
man.
I enjoy that it motivates me for the rest of the week to focus on things and think about things differently because I feel like that's a under like every event in your life is a pebble in the pond that ripples out,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is a pebble that it ripples out. So by the end of the week I'm still feeling some of those ripples. Maybe I say no to that gallon of ice cream. Maybe I say yes to the all right, I'll go to the gym and I'll get on that treadmill, or all right, maybe I'll add a couple more pounds, a couple more reps. We'll see if I can push myself a little further.
It is funny how
um
just the literally just the whole like get the ball rolling thing. If you can move,
Momentum.
object of motion and all that kind of stuff, like just get just an inch, get it moving, just a little
An
push.
object in motion stays in motion. Those are all. That's a very real thing. We've talked. I go to therapy. That's been a part of this process as well. Talking to a professional, and that was a very real thing. That aspect of momentum, of inertia,
Yeah,
changing behaviors is like steering an oil tanker or a cruise ship. You can't make a hard right turn with so much mass moving in one direction. You have to make incremental changes. Um, I don't subscribe to a lot of the productivity gurus out there.
mm,
Anybody, but anyone that talks about making dramatic changes, I always doubt. But I'm willing to lend more credence to people who are talking about making incremental changes because that
yeah.
is how you have to do it.
I'm telling you,
Um,
man. Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of the greatest and motivational speakers of all time, talks about the little victories. Celebrate the little
yeah,
victories. You don't have to worry about the big ones. Just the little tiny, hey, I got up 30 minutes early today, or hey, I had a healthy breakfast, or hey, I drank
mm,
water. I drank enough water today. Hurrah.
yeah. The I was trying to see if I could find a very easily posted so I could share a memeable thing. But yeah, it starts celebrating the little victories as a way to build momentum and fuel your journey towards larger goals. That feels universal.
Yeah,
No,
man.
like that feels no matter what the problem is bad habits form accidentally, but those bad habits also start incrementally.
Mhm.
Like nobody day one goes into shooting up heroin into their eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody goes day one doing that sort of thing. So like bad habits also form incrementally. I guess awareness is that celebrating the little victories and recognizing the little failures. I don't even know if you want to call them failures, but you're steering the boat.
Yeah.
Remembering that you're in control of steering the boat is a powerful tool, I think.
Yeah.
That we get into it. Where's my notes? We get into it every week. We talk about we establish goals for ourselves for the week. Let's do a little recap of our last. It's been a couple weeks now, but we come up with our goals centered around the body, the mind, and the community in terms of what we're looking forward to. And last week, let's see here, collateral alignment. We did. Your focus was focusing on the fitness classes and boxing. And has that been going in? Because I know you've been focused more on those alternative, not just straight up lifting workouts. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, I didn't do any classes, but I did go to the heavy bag, and I worked out on the
Mm.
heavy bag, which is like kind of goes along what we were talking about before the show, but it's like there's only one heavy bag, and it's like in the
Mm.
fitness class room, and people can like look into that room. So it's like I don't. It's like I've never seen anybody else using the heavy bag, so it's like
Oh,
I knew if I would be using it, people would be looking at me, and sure enough, they were. But it's like,
mm.
and I don't like people staring at me, but it's like, yeah, that's I have to get over that to achieve my goal. It's like, yeah, they're gonna look,
Interesting. Yeah.
they're
Not
gonna
not
look
only
at
that.
me.
What is the step? There's a step in that process of like objective truth and then subjective interpretation. You're inferring something that you don't have to infer, right? Like, oh, someone could see me. They're gonna think I look dumb. They're gonna judge me. Nobody ever does this. Why? I'm the weirdo. There's always the reverse of that. You know how like in clickbait articles that end in a question mark, there's this, I forgot who said it, but there's like the idea is that if anybody asks you a question that like a clickbait kind of or a triggering question, that a title of something that ends in a question mark, the answer can always be no,
Yeah,
right? Like you just, yeah, it's like, oh, are video games dead because of wokeness? No, the answer is no. Like politically, like, is this the one way to do anything? No, it's not. It'll never be.
are
So whenever
millennials
there's,
killing the red lobster? It's like
yeah,
no, it's
no,
it's
the answer is no.
it's finance bros.
So whenever you see a headline with a question mark in it, it can very readily be answered no. So whenever you're having the clickbait thought in your brain of like, here's all of this negativity, the answer can also be no.
Yeah,
Like, who knows? Maybe somebody has been desperate to use that heavy bag, and they're like, but nobody ever does it, and you see it, or they see you
yeah.
doing it, and suddenly you've now triggered. Hey, you've shown there's a whole tool there for people to use and get enjoyment out of and improve their physical fitness and also maybe break their wrist if they don't know what they're doing. But it started something. It started have you ever heard the theory of the first follower? Oh man, there's a TED talk.
But yeah, to that point, it's also I didn't realize how ridiculous it was that I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed using this fitness equipment at this gym. Oh my God,
Yeah,
I don't want people to see me working out
that's
at the
what
gym.
it's for.
It's like,
It's
Jesus,
quite literally that.
how
Uh,
irrational of a anxiety is that?
hmm. It's pretty funny because that interpretation, you're not alone in that interpretation. I'm sure there are plenty
Yeah,
of people who will assume the negative. And it's always interesting to me how if you could, so like you're sitting there, you could very easily, when those thoughts hit, again, these are the bad habits also form incrementally. You could very easily be like, people are gonna think I'm looking weird. Yeah, but what if someone thinks I look cool? Like flip it. There's no reason
yeah.
why the opposite can't be true.
And
That whole concept.
one of the other things too, I think this has to talk about ego death and everything like that, where it's like, oh,
Mm,
I'm be because I'm pretty brand, not that I'm brand new, but like I'm not experienced as a boxer. Like I know the
mm,
basics of it. So like I was like, I'm be hitting the bag and I'm gonna do something wrong and someone's gonna be like, you're doing that wrong. And it's like, yeah, but then they could correct me. They could give me good
mm.
advice on how to be better. It's like I don't
Not
have to be
only,
I'm worried about not being perceived as perfect.
oh, interesting. To be fair, ooh, that's interesting. I get that because there is a very, especially my like our age group, a little like there's a certain millennial growth thing that happens when you're young, and I think that's why a lot of like ADHD traits are assigned to people our age, like millennials, because you're taught you're taught that if you're not perfect at something immediately, that it's a failure,
Yeah,
or there's something in our culture that if you're not good at something immediately, that struggle is viewed as negative as
yeah,
opposed to what it is. Oh, I'm in that struggle. Or yeah, that was an old, like, that phrase where it's like the struggle is real or whatever.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, the struggle is real, but why is that a, like, everybody, like, yeah, struggle to improve, like I'm
You don't,
struggling to get this weight off my chest. Eventually the muscles will get strong enough that I'm not struggling anymore. Like, the whole point of growth is there has to be some envelope you're pushing, you know?
yeah, I think I wonder if a lot of that has to come from the phrase like it's almost like a backhanded, unintentional
Mm.
insult where it's like you would see somebody who's very good at something right off the bat and they go, "Oh, that guy's a natural.
He's a
Oh, he's so good.
natural.
He's a natural." And it's
Yeah.
like, well, if I'm not a natural at something, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be perceived as struggling. I want to be
Like,
perceived as the natural.
but that's also for positive traits that are assigned, like, it's so subjective, right? Because it's also like if someone's a natural at doing bad things, it's like, this guy, he's got the quietest hands in the business. He'll pick your pocket without you even realizing it. The guy's a natural. It's like, depending on who's saying that, it's like, oh, no, he's a career criminal, or
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
he's a villain of some kind. Like, oh, he's a natural. It's like, I think you mean sociopath. Is that also? I
He's a
mean, like,
natural sociopath.
he's naturally bereft of human emotion and empathy. I mean, he's a natural. Like,
It is interesting that it's
that's
like
funny.
you're either celebrated as a natural or you're celebrated as somebody who's overcome so much adversity and got to where they are through hard work.
Yes.
But they don't want to be perceived as the guy who's hardworking. They either want to be the guy who's already done all the hard work or the one who just came naturally. They don't want to be the
What
struggling
a
guy.
interest. Yes. What an interesting. Everyone wants to be everyone wants to be the after photo,
Yeah, yeah,
but
exactly.
they don't
That's a
want to
better way of
be the
saying it.
one that's in between. They don't want to be the one that's everybody is technically in between the before and after of something, right?
That's
But
interesting.
nobody wants to be in between. Nobody wants to be perceived in the middle space.
You either
That
yeah,
is your thought is, I don't. Bro, we're breaking
nobody
shit open here.
nobody ever takes a in between photo. They always do the before photo and the after photo, but nobody ever takes the in between photo.
I think also that has done I will say this. The in between photo, I think, is the most important, and you know what I credit TikTok a little bit, because there are a lot of people who are more keen to film their progress if they know that
Yeah.
there is a platform which it can be documented, right? Like I've
Mm,
seen a ton of progress videos if it's the one step on the way to a final stage, right? Like if
yeah.
they're showing off, there's tons of progress the between photos in those videos once they've already gotten to some sort of goal, right? Like, but I do credit, like, modern social media for, like, there's plenty of ways we can speak negatively about it, but there are some positives in terms of building community and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have seen, that I think that this, what is it, the not stagnant, but the still photo
Yeah, yeah.
robs. You ever notice somebody like, oh, I look bad in pictures, or somebody who's like an amazingly attractive person, but then when you see them in a picture, there's always that weirdness, and it's because every still photo robs it of its life a little bit. Because normally, if you see somebody who you think of as like attractive or whatever, some of it is movement. It's some of it is like how they move through the world that is not relevant, that's not like portrayed in a picture, right? Like physical strength, you could see these guys. And bodybuilders are a perfect example. You see these guys that are gigantic, incredibly muscle bound dudes, and then as soon as they get off stage, you see them limping because that's the weakest they ever are. That's the most dehydrated they ever are in these bodybuilding competitions. So the still photo becomes the goal. If the still you're removing movement from that goal.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, like when you see like a video of someone like like how they move through the world can show like even an unattractive, a conventionally unattractive person confidently moving through the earth, through the society, boosts them in terms of your perceived kind of awareness of them, you know?
All right. So I think what we're taking from this is if you're fugly, don't post photos, post GIFs.
Yeah, animated GIFs. Yes, where if you got
throw up
confident.
A boomerang.
What you need are those slow motion things from Red Carpet. What is that? The action cam guy. They all do, like they throw a skirt and it's all like slow motion looking, and they always. My favorite thing on those is that it always takes them a second to find the lens. So they're always like, "Oh, there it is." It always takes them a second.
To exemplify your point with this, I recently saw one with Larry David, who, if you took a photo of him, he wouldn't take offense. This is not an attractive man, but there was one of those. He was on the red carpet and they did a 360 thing, and he wasn't having it, and his 360 thing was this.
Yes, and it's great.
It's great. And it's like,
I'm sure.
How awesome is this guy? This guy.
Yeah. I love I guess the point we're trying to make is like we started with just asking how your body goals went for the last couple of weeks. This being perceived boxing thing is interesting because it connects to mine. Last week was about my PT movement. My physical therapy and healing my body helps me move through, like helps movement more than anything. It's not a visual thing other than how I move. So if you see me like in the morning when I'm stiff and I look old. And then at some point, if I do my PT and I stretch and I strength train my core and all these things, and if I move through the earth, it shaves years off of me.
Yeah.
It's all about being perceived and how you perceive yourself in that sense, I guess, because my goals in that and I guess and you taking advantage of the heavy bag and that doubt of being perceived. My physical therapy is how I perceive myself in the world, moving through it, and I want a more positive movement. That'll make me feel how I look fine. I don't care, but being able to move through the earth, through the world a little bit is move through the earth. Sounds like I've developed, phasing the Flash phasing through mountains powers, but yeah, it is interesting how it boils down to whatever your perception of your situation is.
Yeah.
I really like that. So the idea of the first follower that we were talking about is about that, where this guy who did a TED talk, his name is Derek Sivers, and he talks about, I don't know how much of it we can share audio wise, but there's a TED talk. He talks about how he showcases a video where it's very short, and it's basically, let's see if, can you hear that?
Some lessons from it. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader.
Or also for evil, by the way. This is a scary, you know what I mean? Like Bill Burr has a bit about that where there's like some guy will say some racist shit and then someone in the back will pop out and be like, hey, this guy's got a point. Now there are two of them. But the video starts off, they're at a concert, and there's one guy just doing goofy dancing. And people are like, ugh, what a weirdo. And then this other guy comes and joins in, and you'll see. But it is, what a...
And
yeah.
follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out. They won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this.
This is important.
So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership, some lessons from it.
Oh, no.
You find a lone nut and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, Ted. Thanks.
I skipped the thing. I messed up. I messed up the video. But the concept is there, right? Like there's if you go and you're the first guy hitting the heavy bag. Oh hey. You still wear tidy whities. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. We are having a pretty good day.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. Yeah. What a fun thing. But yeah, the video basically it's kind of like encapsulated in this kind of the social dynamic of being the first follower. If I am at the gym and I am doing an exercise that someone has never done before, and they come to me and are like, hi, I would like to follow what you're doing. The nurturing that first follower, or like if you're doing something that attracts positive attention, there's a kind of like I guess culturally now, like this idea that you have to be wary of like, what are your motivation, what are your intentions, as opposed to embracing them, like what it is. Because I guess there's more work in being attentive and aware of your surrounding, and everyone wants to default to like but you nurture the first follower, and then another guy at the gym, suddenly everyone is doing heavy bag workout with you, and you're like, oh, now everyone was like, oh, is this a boxing gym? No, it's just one guy had an idea, and now we're all hitting the heavy bag, and you could be, that's the thing, is that you can assume that will happen, as opposed to everyone will judge me and mock, like, because again, the clickbait in your mind can be answered no. Are people going to judge me? No, they're not.
I think I will say from personal examples, I've actually done this before, and it just clicked with me right now, is because sometimes I watch a lot of scientific videos about fitness and what, different exercises, what's optimal, and I try them out. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good, sometimes they stick with me. And I started, Eric Janicki is a fitness guy, and he's very buff, and he's very knowledgeable about exercises. And he gave an example of a different kind of upright row. Instead of standing up and doing an upright row, do it on the cables, but you do it lying down, and you do it with your towards. Yeah, so you like lie down, and then you have the cables between your feet. You can do it usually on a 10-foot on a bench. Instead of just using a regular bar, use like you do it like this angle, and so that way you're hitting more of your delts, and you're not using your back muscles as much, and so you can have a better workout. It's more safer for your shoulders. And I was like, it's a weird looking exercise. I don't want weird looking. And so when nobody was watching, I did it, and I really liked it. And I was like, fuck, this is actually a really good exercise. And
when no one was watching is very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people are gonna like I'm committing a crime. Like,
so eventually,
you're trying a new workout. It's such a weird thing, right? It's so
like
weird.
like a 12-year-old masturbating. Like, hopefully nobody's watching. But yeah, it was so then I was like, fuck, it's really good. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna. It's so effective, and I'm feeling it in my delts so well that I'm just gonna do it whenever. I don't give a shit anymore.
That's how you
and
do it.
so I started doing it, and then after a couple weeks, I noticed some other people would do it after I did it. Like I would work out, and then I would go to another side of the gym, and I was walking back. I would see somebody doing the exact same exercise with the same attachment. I'm like, what are the odds of this person just watched an Eric Janicki video, or did they see me a few minutes earlier?
Yeah.
And like throughout the next couple of weeks, I would notice that maybe a couple more people were doing it, and the same people were doing it. And it's like, oh shit, yeah. If
you're a trendsetter,
if you do something that looks interesting, people will try it out. So it's like, oh
yeah. Did you go up to them and be like, I started this? Did you go and be like, this was me, that I stole from somebody else?
I didn't, but in retrospect, I really should have been like, hey, did you see the Eric Janicki video too? And if they were like,
yeah.
They could have been like, oh yeah, I did, or oh no, I didn't. They'd be like, yeah, that's where I got that from. He's a good guy to check out. And we could have had a conversation, built community, but I was like, I don't want to talk to people because I'm shy.
Well, yeah, that does go into the building community thing, because there is a weird, like, the joke I was gonna make was that it comes up to me and they're like, oh, did you watch the Jerk video? Who the hell are you to talk to me? Like people are gonna assume, if people assume that, you know what I mean? Like, why would somebody assume that's such a negative thing? Why would somebody assume that people would be like, ugh, you know, who are you, a stranger? You know, we're all adults and we're all human beings, like, that kind of crave community. Like that's a kind of thing that humans developed, that like we evolutionarily,
I think
like that it is a benefit to us.
I think we crave community, and that's why we're so afraid of people being like, ugh, because that's the opposite of that. So it's like, no, everybody does want the community. Like,
oh, you think it's like an uncanny valley thing, like that you know how like when something is close to human, that we are like, ugh, you know, like we are put off by it. When something is like close to community but fake, we're put off by it. Like if it feels manufactured.
Maybe.
Is that something? I don't know. Is that something? That's like we're like comedians writing jokes. Like, is that a thing? Is that a bit?
Do you think that's how like therapists and like philosophers? Is that something that we crave humanity?
Is that a thing?
Is that something? Does that work?
I'm just reminded of History of the World Part 1, where he's a stand-up philosopher, because it's the same kind of thing. We're just picking apart society and human interaction. It's like, is that a thing? It's probably a thing that philosophers have said before. Philosophians. The idea,
we crave humanity, and that's why our greatest fear is the opposite.
Is that a thing?
Does
that sound good to you? How do I say that? Hey, how do I? That is what philosophy is. There's a bunch of smart dudes, Socrates, just going around being like, I said a smart thing, and then someone's like, is that a thing? And he'd be like, I think it's a thing. You know, like that is kind of like how it all goes.
I think like philosophy can be reduced down to
yeah. I think therefore I am. You know,
I think it's you know what I mean? This guy knows what I'm talking about.
This guy knows what I'm talking. This guy knows what's up.
Which guy knows what you're talking about? My inner child.
My inner child. Inner child. That's a thing,
right?
I got a tag for you if you don't mind. Do you mind me tagging your joke? Yes, Plato. Yes, Aristotle. God, that's funny. Well, that kind of goes into the.
Do you mind me tagging your diatribe?
An allegory of the cave. Does it have to be a cave, though? Yes, it has to be a cave. Okay.
But instead of shadows.
What if it's the flames that he sees something? No, the flames cast the shadow. Guys, just stop tagging my bits. That's pretty good. Pretty good. I like this idea. Speaking of the mind, like
they're doing it, and he's like, I'm the one who told him to put him in the cave. I told him to put him in the cave.
Yeah, he stole that from me. The cave was my thing.
He wanted
I
to
said
put him in the
house.
forest. I said cave.
Yeah, forest is different. Forest, and then he comes up with like a completely different. He's like a forest, and it turns into every biopic of a musical act where they're like, walk hard, like that. The
forest. He couldn't see the forest through the trees.
For the tree, get out of here! And he's like, I got my own thing. Boom, philosophy. Speaking of the mind, you've been doing this thing. Look how we've talked about how it's impacted your ability to build community in the gym by just being willing to try something new. Your last episode, you talked about how you wanted to focus on the systems that build calm. I think what that is kind of like in what you were talking about, being somebody trying something new at the gym. That calm might lead you to be less defensive about how people view you. How's that going?
Yeah.
Have you been feeling more calm in trying new things, or in terms of the boxing, the heavy bag, in terms of trying those things?
I think the calm is related to the anxiety of being perceived in a certain way. So I do, because I know you've talked about it. We've talked about it before, where it is the fear of the unknown is what keeps us from initiating change. We'd rather be comfortable in our uncomfortability than challenge ourselves to a potential benefit. So I think it is the thing where it's like, I did finally get on the heavy bag, even though I knew I was going to be watched. And now that I did, I'm like, I'm probably more likely to do it again. I'll probably do it again.
The better the devil you know is such an enemy to progress.
Yeah.
Like that saying, better the devil you know than the one you don't. I'll stick to this thing that isn't working with me because I've been the antithesis of that statement of sticking with something that isn't working for an extended amount of time because you've been doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're familiar with. There's that saying of like, oh man, I just lost it, where it's like, better the devil you know, don't keep making a mistake just because you spend a long time making it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's still a mistake, even if it's almost worse if you know that it's a mistake and you're making it. It could continue to make it. Yeah. Those little things, I don't want to undermine the power of a clever saying. An axiom is like genuinely powerful, and I love them so much. I don't know if we talked about this on the show. You only have to floss the teeth you want to keep.
Yeah.
If you want to be lazy, be organized, because organization involves doing less work.
Yeah.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You go slow, you do it smoothly, you do it once, it's done. That's faster than if you rush and make mistakes and then you have to do it again. Those little sayings that you can extrapolate a ton of information, E equals MC squared. Those little short things that you can pull a very powerful like change from, I love a lot. And that like
an object in motion.
An object in motion that is applicable to everything. I mean, it's interesting. You just have to think about them at the right times.
Yeah.
And I think that calm is such a powerful tool in making those decisions at the right time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very akin to a lot of people say, oh, I have this medical issue, but I don't want to go see the doctor because they might give me the bad news. And it's like, but if you go, they could tell you it's nothing, or they could tell you how to fix it. But now you're just living with this anxiety and possibly this medical issue. But if you go and take care of it, now you have that calm.
Yeah. Those who worry suffer twice. Another kind of these little powerful axioms that are, am I using that word right? Axiom? The idiom? What's the difference between axiom? Axiom definition, meaning a statement or proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true. Sure. What's an idiom?
Same thing, basically, right? Isn't
A
it?
group of words established by usage as having a meaning not deducible from those of the individual words. So, like, it's raining cats and dogs, or I can see the light.
Okay.
So, I guess I don't know. Some of these are idioms, some of these are axioms. We leave it to you, the viewer, to decide which one is which. Either way, we hope it like spurns some inspires some action.
Yeah, yeah.
The calm is important. My focus last episode was continuing the system to play within. Now, I wish I could remember exactly what that's about, but I think it had a lot to do with music. When I was focused on my music, and while I did play guitar a little bit around the house, I was really kind of trying. I got caught up in the systems of setting that up, of building it, where my ADHD focused on the organization of the software, audio interface. Where do I plug in? Oh, these wires are in the wrong place. Like, the obsession with setting up my desk is very real, and I'm still processing it. But I think if I were to continue the system to play within, I think I have to incorporate some of the other things that involve play, not just music.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing more stand-up here in LA. I have some auditions coming up for things. I have, more of the creative outlet happening. And I still consider those kind of play, even though I'm focused on it like it would be work, but it's like the work that fulfills me, not the work that pays my rent, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess you could say I did some of that, and mentally it has helped a lot. Even my wife is she noticed a difference just in the way that I've been like coming home and thinking about jokes as opposed to the horrors of the government. I've come home and thinking of a joke about something rather than, and it improves my overall mood, I think, in general. So it has absolutely benefited me, whether collaterally or intentionally. There's definitely a benefit.
I think it has to do with you being active towards finding your purpose. Like,
yes. Yeah.
If you're just sitting there and not doing anything, it's like, there's no reason for me to even exist. But if you're like actively doing something, you're like, oh, here are things I can look forward to. Here are things I can accomplish. It's like, yeah, that's great. Good for you, man.
And it's true. And it's been happening also. Like, I see it in, we were just talking about it before we started rolling. Oh, she just left. My wife just got a job after a long period of unemployment. There is a absolute need for humans to feel purpose.
Yeah.
You could see it there. It was absolutely a driving force. And now that she has this work, it has like, again, a pebble in the pond, but a huge pebble, a huge rock that's creating like these really large ripples that are going to be around for a while. That this feeling of like, all right, now rather than this has helped me. It's helped calm her mind, knowing that there's more income coming to the home. That all of these things have grown from this one pebble of hitting the water. That it's such a the size changes of the impact because of purpose. Something you're doing that helps you find a purpose or is some sort of core value that enhances some core value is incredibly powerful. Super powerful.
I think all of that can be reduced down to what is the meaning of life?
Yeah. Yeah, we're answering that question here on the Zeros on Heroes. What is the meaning of life? We figured it out. It's not that complicated. We're saying the most subjective thing on earth that can be interpreted a million different philosophical ways, but we answered it. You find your purpose.
Right now, God is up in heaven going, finally, these two fucking guys.
These two dorks get it. These guys, come on, it took them. I would love it for it to be like,
with your goddamn cave.
It's like in The Good Place. Did you ever see The Good Place? Spoiler alert for this show that's a bunch of years old. They're in the bad place, and then when the dumbest one figures it out, oh, Jason figured it out. Oh, this is a low point, a real low point. Man, but it's true. It's so interesting how that boils out. Like it refines down. It just distills down to like, a core value being used for a purpose that is ultimately viewed positively, but there's a lot of people like the first follower, there's a lot of people who use that force for evil, but it is human. It is a human kind of like drive, when we were talking about community, like last episode, you said you don't want to absorb people's mistakes, and then you don't want your hero behavior to become a complex.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about how we do have hero drive in the show. Like a lot of the stuff we talk about is filtered through this lens of positivity, and like what's more positive than a hero? Like what's these people who are genuine heroes who ultimately the definition of a hero of heroicism is that it betters the community around them. They save others, not themselves, is the opposite of selfishness, I guess. And so I guess those two things, absorbing other people's mistakes and then having your hero like savior complex, have it go from being a hero to being a savior, that feels super toxic.
Yeah.
A savior feels toxic, a hero feels positive,
Yeah. Yeah, it is a big thing of like, what is your duty to the world? What is your duty as a human being to help people? There's also the issue of, it's one thing, I do believe it is admirable to sacrifice your wants for someone else's needs.
Ooh, yeah, absolutely.
Where that's always kind of been my philosophy. But then when it's your hero complex gets too far, when you start sacrificing your needs for other people's wants. And that's when it's like, oh, I can't allow myself to do that. Like, I can't.
Oh, what an interesting flip. Okay. So sacrificing your wants for other people's needs is want is obviously something extra. A want is obviously something that is not a necessity for life. A want is something that you can sacrifice without it affecting your overall health in certain ways, like mentally or physically or whatever. But then sacrificing your needs for other people's wants is where it veers into toxicity. Interesting.
Yeah. So I think it is. I have to always make sure I make sure I understand where the line is. Where it's because that also comes into the whole thing of like being taken advantage of. Where it's like, Will is he's such a good helper, and he does a lot of hard work and blah blah. So we'll give him this task, and I'll go, oh great, I'd love to help. And then meanwhile they're sipping on a Mai Tai, not doing anything.
Ooh, you kind of just eviscerated late teens, early 20s Mike in that context of like, oh no, I did that a lot. Oh boy. Ooh.
I'm not saying
I should not have given these girls that didn't. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is not a theoretical exercise. This is a life lesson learned.
Oof. Yeah. And this is some real world in the shit knowledge gained. Oh man, that's such a powerful. What an interesting. That is a great one. Don't sacrifice your needs for other people's wants.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to sacrifice their wants for your needs, and vice versa. You know 100%. What I mean? Like, that is a great. Well, let's put that on a T-shirt. Don't sacrifice for other people's. That is legitimately a great short thing that you can pull a lot out of. Yeah. Because ultimately, like, if you look at the world right now and the internet and social media, there's so many people who view every want of theirs as a need. Yeah. Right? I can't. Even something as simple as like somebody agreeing with them on social media. That is a absolute want. But they view it as an attack if you don't. And it's like, oh, this is the internet. I don't understand what like, what are we doing here? I just don't agree, but it's viewed as like an attack because they have their perspective of it. I guess that's interesting. I don't know. It's just a thought-provoking thing.
I think it goes along with the same thing as like, I think Jon Stewart said it, where he said, you're misinterpreting inconvenience as, was it victimization or inconvenience as persecution?
That is, fuck, man, it's super good. The inconvenience, I think it boils down to, we've talked about it on this show, the bean soup theory. We've talked about how like social media is a negative at this point. The algorithmic drive of social media now feeds you content that's tailored towards you, so that you are trained that if something doesn't connect with you, or it's like for you, it's immediately viewed, you interpret it as like, who are you? Why is this content coming to me? And it's of less value because I don't agree with it, because of how much of it is fed in agreement with your own biases, and creates like these, vicious cycles and bubbles of thought. And it started because some lady posted a bean soup recipe, and then people in the comments were like, what if I don't like beans? It's like, well, then it's not for you. It reminds me of people who comment on ads on social media. Like literally not sponsored content, not a creator posting something that, here's the thing that I like, literally a bought ad from a fucking corporation. And there's people in the comments arguing about stuff. It's like, this is a commercial. Stop. Stop. Who cares? What do you mean? Scroll past. You don't have to interact with everything. It's so crazy that everything demands an opinion is like a new form of toxicity. I think that in the last episode of my community building, this is probably not helping, but my community building of continuing the vibes from all of the improv stuff that I was doing to build performance opportunities, that is happening. I've done that. I feel like I've done that this week, but a lot of it has come with the exposure to a lot of the negative things that I don't like about networking. We were talking about it before the show, where we don't like to be perceived. In the perfect example, I don't want someone to see me in the middle. I want them to get to see me in the after. Yeah. So all of this struggle in between involves talking to people who I may not agree with, or somebody like I have to kiss up to. It's like, oh, I was at a mic the other day, and this is a mic I've been to, I'm starting to become pretty regular there, writing jokes. I've established myself as like, at least I'm working on stuff. People recognize like, oh, that was a good bit. Oh, let me tag this for you. It's created writing opportunity, like of that community of people centered around comedy. And it's split up the way the mic is, and in the way in LA, you have to kind of pay for time. Unfortunately, you pay $5 and you get 5 minutes. That is how it is out here at this mic in particular. And each hour is segmented off, and you pick your top, you have to pre-book your slot, et cetera, et cetera. Somewhere in the middle, like the middle hour, so there's 3 hours, right? In the middle hour, some guy and like a group of people took it upon themselves to basically create their own show. They, like 4 comedians booked their spot, they paid $5 for their time, and then invited like 50 people. And 50 people showed up to an open mic. Now, Will, you know this. If you're watching this as a non-comedian, open mics are for other comedians to write their jokes. There's very rarely actual audience in there. Yeah. It's not a show. It's a lot of people struggling through new material, figuring things out. It's the between stage that you don't want people to watch a show. Yeah. So in a roundabout way, these open micers created their own show. Now, as a collateral benefit to the rest of us, suddenly there's very real audience in there. And the opportunity was 100% squandered, because when that hour ended, they did not encourage those people to stay, the audience, for the next hour, which I was in, that I would have killed to try my jokes in front of actual audience, because it's a different vibe. Every comedian writes jokes in front of other comedians and then has to trial them in front of real average people. If you want your jokes to be good, you write jokes about relatable things. The only way for those things to be relatable is for average Joes to like them. And it was squandered. Every one of us in the last hour watched all of these people walk away, and no one was like, please stay. Please stay. And I had to bottle so much anger, because I was like, this feels like you don't understand what the point of doing comedy is. Yeah. The point of doing comedy isn't to get a writing job. It's to get an audience to think you're funny and laugh at your jokes. It was such a weird kind of like, and I was so angry that it was a squandered opportunity. I'm talking about it now. That's how angry I am. I'm literally talking about it later. But the problem was that in terms of building performance opportunities, there will be these negative moments. In that time, after that, we were all kind of breaking it down, and some of the people were like, "Yeah, no, we should have done it. We could have." There was another guy there who was also kind of upset, and I was like, "We could have literally. I would have put my phone up there. We would have. Every one of us would have gotten a tape. Every one of us could have gotten something." And he was like, "Yeah." And then so we followed each other on Instagram, and it's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do." It's like we get it. We're gonna start something or not, whatever it is. But it was like a bonding moment of like, that guy now knows that we think alike, and if that guy has something going on, he's gonna consider me. If I approach him, I would have no problem approaching him and asking him for time. Whereas I would hope that if I approach him, if I was doing something, I would include him, and that's kind of what I've been trying to build.
Yeah.
And in that context, that process, as stressful as it may sound, that anger, it wasn't a negative anger, if I could frame it differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you did was you turned a negative into a positive. There was this horrible experience, but out of that horrible experience, you made a new friend, possibly. You made a new coworker. You made a new.
That's true. A bond of some kind.
A bond,
I wouldn't call it a horrible. It wasn't a bad. Like, nobody's dying. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the benefits of being an emergency medical technician and ICU tech. Like, all these things. Nobody's dying. It's not horrible. It was just a minor mismanagement of. I would have done something differently. It's not my. Like, I'm not a moron. I'm not obtuse enough to be like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like, it's not that. It absolutely was just a missed opportunity that I recognized, and other people did too. So, if it ever kind of reveals itself again, I know this guy's on board. This guy, this girl, this. Yeah, it was such an interesting dynamic, because it is a very kind of like a reminder that I need this. Like, it is part of my being to find performance opportunities. It is ingrained in me as a person. And we were talking about that before the show, that it feels like whatever in my brain is broken is soothed by that in some way. Even though other people would view it as the most stressful experience of their life.
Yeah.
If I had to put you, like, public speaking is like the number one fear of like most people. Generally speaking, people are afraid of speaking in public. That is the one thing that I would love to be doing. You know what I mean? That is the thing. And it's just like a reminder of like how different everyone can be, and how my purpose is I feel a sense of purpose in that as well. Like like a lot of the stuff we're talking about today is about like purpose and perception, like that feels like a good title for today's episode on Collateral Benefit. So moving forward, we're gonna, in conclusion, we got two things we're gonna do. We're gonna do our looking forward for the week. If you would like to share with us what you're looking forward to for the week, you can post it in the comments right now, and you can share with send us an email at zerosonheroes@gmail.com, and then we will answer those questions. Tell us how you did in future episodes, and then you can also follow us on social media at Mike Mercadal, at William A. Watkins, and just comment and share with us what you're working on. We love to hear it. We love to see it. We're going to talk about our workout of the week that we recommend, and I think you already mentioned a good one. And I'm going to, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do for the week. Okay, so your workout of the week, would you like it to be the laying down row?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's keep it in there. I mean, you can I use like a D-bar handle, but you can also use just regular ropes, and just have ropes and just turn your.
So what's the name? It's an upright row, but it's laying.
It's essentially. It's almost like a combination upright row and face pull, but you're laying down when you're doing it. So instead of recruiting like your back muscles, your upper back muscles, which is a lot for upright rows and face pulls, you're just strictly doing like deltoids, especially like your rear deltoids. So it's like as you're pulling up, it's this.
So is it? Is this kind of
Hey, yeah, that's good. Yeah, lining up a cable upright row. You can use one of those. Yeah.
so the bar you're talking about the close D grip thing, but you're holding it like
Yeah,
this?
instead of like usually if you do like a cable pull, you would use like a handle like this. But you can just do this instead, and you're
Right.
gonna force your deltoids to take over. Yeah, so very
So
similar. I would just say,
right.
you can even do it if you wanted to, on a bench. You can even grab a couple dumbbells and lay face down on a bench, and
Right,
then
right.
do that.
Yeah, it does feel having your back supported. Someone with a back injury, having your back supported.
Yeah,
This is like this looks very much like what I would want out of every machine, but I never get it from a machine.
yeah,
Where the range of you're supported in ways, and it feels like it is isolating specific things. But yeah,
yeah.
what
'Cause
a good.
if you do it when you're standing upright, you got to activate your spinal erectors. You got to brace and all that stuff. And this is just
Mm,
straight up delts.
right, right. In that vein, I think that's a great something to isolate, something to protect your back. I'm trying to think of like what I want to focus on, and realistically, I think I'm just going to be banging out as many push-ups as I can. I believe there's such an approachable thing to push-ups,
Hmm.
um, and I feel like also it does a lot of core benefit as well. Like you're essentially planking, if you're doing them right.
Yeah,
And I do think that there's um, a push-up can be done at every level of fitness, even if
oh,
you're just leaning
100%.
up against a wall, like a wall push-up. That where you're just kind of holding here, and you're still engaging muscles that you wouldn't normally engage. And I think that even when you get down to the incline, you get down to on your knees, you do the box push-ups. You can do there's an entire variety of like the V push-ups where you're on your
Yeah.
where you can do shoulders. I think there's a certain amount of that I would really like to focus on, and I also want to encourage others that if as a starting point, a simple, even if you're just a low plank, like you're holding your body up off the ground. And I think that is a totally an under. I think I've talked about it here, but that was like one of the things in the Fire Academy that we learned context. Like there's been a lot of Pilates. We talked about it last week. The muscle dudes doing Pilates and
Yeah,
shaking
yeah,
like leaves while there's like some 40-plus-year-old mother of threes just like chilling. Like because context is muscle development in context is important. Um, we were doing push-ups. One of the lead instructors was this guy that they handed over the class for the PT for the day to this other guy who was like, "We're just gonna do push-ups." This guy Royce was his name. These are all firefighters in South Florida, and he's like, when I say down, you go down. When I say up, you go up. And then so he starts. He's like down, up, and then he goes down, and a bunch of us start moving, and he's like, I didn't say it, and we were in this kind of low plank position,
yeah, yeah.
dying, bro. We were crushed. We were all like shaking our butt. And they're like, "Don't get those knees off the ground." We're like, ah. We were like, don't you? In the not so friendly, politically correct terms, if a dick touches the ground, I'm cutting it off. Like that was like, it was true. The ladies in the class were like laughing, but it was like one of those things where it was comedic. He wasn't trying to mess with us. There was also another time that Lieutenant Escobedo said in Miami, this guy, he was we're gonna do he called him Mexican calisthenics. I don't know how politically correct that is, but at a certain point, he's just like, keep going like this. Do not stop until I
Ooh,
tell you to
yeah.
stop. Oh my God. So when I tell you that we were literally like hopping our bodies up to try to momentum lift, our hands are no weight, just the weight of our arms. We were crushed. So I encourage the starting points can be literally any repetitive motion that builds a muscle in that area. And I think push-ups is a good place to start. I think that's where.
There's a very popular thing or thing the bodybuilders do to each other where they go, "Oh, how much can you bench?" "Oh, I can bench 350." And they're like, "How many push-ups can you do?" And they're like, "Bro, don't fucking
Come on.
oh, come on, man.
Oh, come on.
I haven't done push-ups in 10 years, man." And it's like, tell them to do push-ups and they like bail out. Because it is
That's
like even if
funny.
you've done it, even if you're a professional bodybuilder, it's
Yeah.
still good to do push-ups, man.
Still
like
good to do push-ups.
It's still effective.
I like that idea actually. How many push-ups can you do? Like you see like these bodybuilders like, don't talk to me like that. How you lower your voice when you talk to me? Anyway, let's recap, or let's look forward to this week. Let's rapid fire body, mind, and community. We're talking fitness, mental health, and just your relationships around you. What are we working on this week to help our body? Let's just go all three, Will, if you want. Just bang, bang, bang.
All right. Physical body. I want to start working on my upper pecs, so a lot of inclines. Incline benches, a lot of upward movements. Second,
in case you want to lift a car off somebody, you want to be, you got to get that.
Also, I also have excess skin and history of man boobs, so it actually that helps because you're like lifting your skin and excess skin up there. So that's going to help a lot. Define the upper chest, which is also good for V-neck season coming up.
True. You want that the little ridges,
the clavicular portion.
You want the man cleavage. Yeah. Good.
For mind, I am going to continue to face my anxieties. With the example with the heavy bag, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway." I'm going to be the guy dancing in the field.
Yes.
And if people want to join me, be the first follower. If not, I'm going to, instead of dancing like nobody's watching, I'm going to dance like everyone is watching.
What a better way to think about it. Dance like you don't give a fuck.
Dance like you don't give a fuck who's watching.
Yeah. Dance like you don't give a fuck who's watching. And how do you think that'll go out into the community?
I think it'll be the thing. Maybe that's something. I want to aspire to inspire.
Ooh, put that on a t-shirt. Aspire to inspire. Wow. We've been killing it today with these axioms and idioms, baby. I love
the Seven Dwarfs because we're dropping gems.
Ooh, this is solid. I like it. Yeah, aspire to inspire. What a good phrase. Because it's true. Like if you do something cool, there's no better compliment than when someone's like, "Hey, thank you for showing this to me. I will also do that." Which I'll start backwards in my community, in my relationships. I want that also. I'm not going to steal the same thing, but what I want to do is I want my creativity to inspire people to join me in my creative process, right? Like that's what I want to include as many people as I can in my creative process because I don't want to exclude anyone. If there's somebody out there that wants to be a part of whatever I'm doing, until proven otherwise, guess what? You're welcome. I think that's an important thing. And also for my mind, I think focusing on that's the community goal will be to include as many in my creative process, but making my mental processes as inclusive as possible, I think it includes that, which means I don't want to clickbait my own mind because I don't want to be asking the questions that are like catastrophic thinking with a question mark because the answer can be no. So I don't want to no clickbait, no self clickbait, because that's what we're doing when we try to process things and do pattern recognition as humans. We're basically creating headlines, right? Yeah. No self clickbait headlines, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to form patterns around things. And again, we're just two idiots on the internet I'm repeating other things that people smarter than me have said, but that idea of like the creating patterns is like, the headlines of your thinking shouldn't include clickbait, right? Yeah. Because the answer is always no. The answer is, oh, is this the worst thing that's ever happened to me? No, it's not. There's going to be plenty of other audiences or whatever.
I was about to say, it's like that meme with the butterfly. Like, is this the worst thing that could possibly happen?
Exactly. Is this the thing? No, it is not. It is not the worst thing. And in terms of my body, like if I'm not gonna clickbait my mind, I kind of, again, I think the going back to the push-up mentality of like, I've been having some shoulder pain, right? I'm not 100% sure when it started, but I think it has to do with a sleeping wrong kind of situation.
Yeah.
But I do want to. I can still do things without hurting myself at every level. So if I need to start doing, push-ups on an incline or get on my knees and do, I don't care. I want the full set of reps. I want to do the thing as safely as possible, but still do the thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, do the exercise, probably push-ups. I'm gonna focus on push-ups, no matter what, man. I'm doing these push-ups no matter what. If a dick touches the ground, I'm chopping it off. I want that to be the clip that we take out of the show and post that on social media. Be like, what the fuck is this show about? I don't want it to be.
Just give a knife to your wife and be like, you know what to do.
You know what to do. If you watch me do push-ups and she's like, and then I like yell to her, "This is building our relationship." Oh man, that's so dumb. Well, we've done it. We've accomplished our goal of this episode. Will, thank you so much for doing the show. I love it. We solved it. We answered the question of what's the meaning of life. Yeah. You can follow us at Mike Mercadal, at William A. Watkins, at Zeros on Heroes, which is down at the bottom of the screen. And you can email us at zerosonheroes@gmail.com. Anything that you're doing to improve your life and the unexpected ways it has improved other areas of your life or the lives around you. That's kind of the crux of everything. And to be fair, that's kind of what heroics are. Being a hero is benefiting yourself and the lives of the people around you. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. In these times, there is no more powerful a thing to do than that. And with that, that's how we sign off our show. Will, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Anything else you'd like to promote before we go?
No, I just wanted to say you're looking really good, man.
Oh, man. Just trying to look like you, bro. Just trying to look like you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And remember, go out and be heroic.
Be heroic.
Ba, 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 ba.